Welcome to being at home with George during the time of COVID. And I'm excited about today and about this idea of embracing whatever comes up, good, the bad, the ugly, whatever, just saying yes to it and generating a hope. And so today is a special day. It happens once a year for me. It's my 37th anniversary of sobriety from substance abuse 37 years ago, July 30th, 1984. And it's a time for me to reflect on that and to be grateful and to really reflect on, well, how did that happen? And why is it that I have more enthusiasm and excitement about life now than I had even 37 years ago or even last year? And I believe it's because of the idea of the process of program that I have followed during this time. And it's interesting because I have a friend, his name is Charlie S., and he sends me a medallion every year. So this year he gave me my 37-year medallion. And the interesting thing is, as you folks know, I've worked with Phil Jackson and Tex Winters, and they ran the triangle offense. Well, I actually have my own triangle offense, and it's predicated on that medallion, which has a triangle, and one side of that triangle is recovery, one side is unity, and the other side is service. And I want to talk about service and what's helpful to have the willingness to serve. And so why is it important? And so for me, it's important because when I got in recovery, I was shy and quiet, and I was an introvert. And I had to figure out, this is one thing I say all the time, is you got to forget yourself to find yourself. So I had to forget myself to find myself, and I would lose myself or forget myself in service. And so the first thing I learned when I got into recovery was this idea of being of service. And so in the beginning, that was just showing up and helping to set up meetings, put chairs together. At the end of the meeting, take the chairs down, greeting people. And one of the reasons why I greeted people because I was shy and I didn't know what to say. So it helped me to get out of myself, to forget myself, being able to talk to the person that no one else was talking to, or go over and give someone a hug that no one else is necessarily interested in those days. Obviously, I would ask for permission, but hugs, not drugs or alcohol. And I had this practice. It was practices I took on, a service practice that I took on of speaking to people and embracing people. In this one company that I worked at, I used to get in and walk through the factory and I'd say good morning to everyone. And there was one young lady that I would say good morning to for about 2 years before she said good morning back to me. So being of service was just saying good morning and not worrying about whether or not she was going to respond to me or not. It was just an act of service, and I did that. So that's what I did then. And now what I do is I greet everybody when I go into the stores like a CVS or whatever. I know people. I say good morning, hello. I talk to them. I see them as a whole people, and I smile at them. And it's interesting because even going back to years, every once in a while when I go back to LA and I go to this hotel that I used to frequent when I used to work with the Lakers back in the early 2000 to mid 2000s. I would go in there and I would work with these folks. I spoke to them. And when I go back now, the ones that are there, they still remember me. They remember the fact that I would do things like I would ask them about their kids and their family and stuff like that. And when we got extra hats and T-shirts from winning championships and whatnot, I would give them to them. And it was just something that now they still remember those acts of kindness. And so I smile, I ask people how they're doing, and just these random acts of kindness. Like one thing that used to happen, I can't do anymore because we used to have these tolls, and when you drive through the tolls and you give the person the money, you say, hey, I'm going to pay for the car behind me, something like that, or act of kindness of, okay, somebody is trying to get into the traffic lane, I pause and let them get in. Just little things like that, just not judging people. And when someone is being rude to me, can I not judge them? Can I pause and just breathe and not react to their reactivity? So it's really important that this service thing, and it can mean many things, just especially working with people just being of service to them. And there's something about being of service, seeing them as a whole person, and that the rewards that come back to me, I am fully well compensated. Is interesting because I was watching this movie called Hacksaw Ridge, and the guy in there that saved like 75 soldiers during World War II. And when they interviewed him, he talked about this one soldier that he had saved that had blood on his eyes, or covering his eyes, and he thought he was blind, and he took the canteen and he washed the blood away. And he said that the guy was so happy and so excited that he said he would be well rewarded just by seeing the expression of that person's face that he had served. And I think on some level we think about compensation in terms of a monetary value and stuff like that. But often the most valuable things are the things that money can't buy, like the intrinsic value of feeling like you made a difference, connecting with soul to soul with somebody, or heart to heart, masterpiece to masterpiece, just by being of service and feeling great about it, and then creating the possibility that that person may go out and serve others. So the challenge that I'm offering today is, how can we serve? How are there many ways that we as individuals, especially in this time of challenges and difficulty and not knowing what to expect after a year and a half of dealing with COVID, and now we're having these ebbs and flows of whether or not this new variant is going to affect us. We have to figure out more ways of being of service to each other, to forget ourselves, to find ourselves. And in that, maybe you're able to experience what I experience, which is this idea of more enthusiasm, more excitement about life, and feeling good about myself, but also understanding that I and the other are one. So getting beyond this illusion of separateness, because when I serve someone outside of me, I'm also serving me, and I'm giving them the opportunity to do likewise. So the idea is service is really powerful. It's a way of being generous, compassionate, and getting beyond the illusion of separateness. So I and the other are one. And so I just want to leave you with this idea of, this is what helped me. This was my experience, strength, and hope. And there's something there that I believe can help you as well, is to forget yourself, to find yourself in service.